Welcome back. Let's read this company, ShinMaywa. They are making some very good flying boats or seaplanes or amphibian aircrafts. I just read about it, so I like to read about the company. They will be able to build a large flying boat, a large modern flying boat with cabins, some capsule cabins, Japanese style, to like 100 people. They could do that, but that will cost many hundreds of millions dollars to do. So the problem is the money.
ShinMaywa. ShinMaywa Industries, Limited. Native name Japanese, Romanized name ShinMaywa Jikabu Shikigase Ha. Formerly ShinMaywa Industries, Limited. Type K. Traded as TYO 7224. Industry transportation machine. Defense predecessor Kawanishi Aircraft Company, founded November 5, 1949. Founder sub Kawanishi Headquarters Takarajuka, Higo Prefecture, Japan. Area served worldwide. Key people Yoshio Onishi, President and CEO. 1. Products: flying boats, aircraft parts, special trucks, industrial machinery. Number of employees 4,695. 1. March 2016. Divisions: Aircraft Division, Special Purpose Truck Division, Parking Systems Division, Industrial Machinery. ShinMaywa Industries, Limited, ShinMaywa KGY Kabushai Kigase Ha, is a Japanese industrial conglomerate descended from the Kawanishi Aircraft Company. Founded as ShinMaywa Industries in 1949, the company was rebranded as ShinMaywa during 1992. Prior to this, the company was also known as ShinMaywa Industry Co., Limited, SMIC. ShinMaywa, headquartered in Takarajuka, Higo Prefecture, is perhaps best known for its seaplanes, such as the ShinMaywa US-1 amphibian, and its upgraded form, the ShinMaywa US-2. The company has also been involved in the international supply chain of aircraft manufacturers such as American Bing Corporation. History. Following the end of the Second World War and the start of the occupation of Japan, a ban on aircraft manufacturing imposed during December 1945 required Japan's aircraft industry to finish the work. 2. During the late 1940s, Japanese aircraft manufacturer Kawanishi Aircraft Company reorganized itself, becoming ShinMaywa Industries. During the 1950s, the emergence of the Cold War between the United States and the Soviet Union led to the aircraft construction ban being rescinded. ShinMaywa, which had turned to heavy machinery and engine manufacturing for the intervening years, decided to resurrect their old aircraft works. Initially, the company focused on smaller efforts, such as subcontracting work, the production of drop tanks, and performing airframe overhauls of both Japanese and American aircraft, such as the U.S. Navy's Martin P-5M Mullen flying boats. However, senior figures, such as chief aircraft designer Shizuo Kikuhara and founder Ryuzo Kawanishi, were keen to pursue projects of a greater scope. 2. During the early 1950s, Kawanishi had formed a committee headed by Kikuhara which was tasked with developing seaplane designs that would feature greater seaworthiness. 2. Unlike most seaplanes, they held the ambitious aim of producing an aircraft that could land upon rough seas and encounter little impact from waves and spray. By 1959, the committee felt that it had developed an appropriate design to meet its specification. 3. 2 years later, Kikuhara, who now headed up the company's amphibian development division, was lobbying the Japanese Defense Agency to consider the adoption of a flying boat to meet the nation's requirement for an anti-submarine warfare. Systems Division, Fluid Division, website u.shinmaywa.co.jp. ASW, Patrol Aircraft. ShinMaywa stated that they would produce a specialized design to undertake the ASW mission. Crucial support came from the US Navy, who were keen to see Japan's ASW capabilities expand to help track and contain the growing Soviet submarine presence in the Pacific. 2. To support the development of the company's ideas, the Americans provided a single Grumman U-16 Albatross flying boat, which was disassembled, reverse-engineered and reassembled into a flying testbed aircraft, referred to as the UFXS. 2. The converted flying boat featured numerous adaptations, including a novel boundary layer control system to provide enhanced short takeoff forward/landing (STOL) performance, while the Albatross's two 1,425 HP, 1,063 kilowatts, Wright-R 1,820 radial engines were supplemented by two 600 HP, 450 kilowatts, Pratt & Whitney R 1,340 radial engines on the aircraft's wings, with an additional 1,250 shp, 930 kilowatts, General Electric T-58 turbo shaft inside the aircraft's hull to drive the boundary layer control system. 4. The UFXS also featured a new T-tail arrangement, hull-based deflectors, and a rounded stubby nose, the latter of which resembled that of the P-5M Marlin. 2. From 1962 onwards, the UFXS performed numerous test flights, demonstrating the improved features which enabled a flying boat to both land and take off from the open ocean. These tests were closely followed and critiqued by the Japanese military. 2. Over time, the UFXS continued to be modified to improve its stability and other key performance criteria. In 1966, the Japan Maritime Self-Defense Force, JMSDF, awarded ShinMaywa a contract to further develop its design to produce a patrol aircraft capable of the ASW mission. Accordingly, two further prototypes were constructed under the designation PSX. In addition to ShinMaywa, other Japanese companies, such as Fuji Heavy Industries and Nippon Corporation, also played major roles in the PSX's development. 2. The adaptations resulted in significant seaworthiness improvements during tests conducted in the Kii Channel during 1968. The PSX successfully landed amid formidable 4-meter waves, despite these being in excess of its design goal of 3 meters. 2. Having been suitably impressed, during 1969, the JMSDF issued a production order for a batch of 21 aircraft, which were given the designation PS1, to meet its ASW requirement. 2. In spite of its demonstrated performance, the project was not without its critics. The capability of contemporary sonar units meant that it was impossible to track submerged vessels while airborne. Instead, a submarine hunter would have to land to use a dipping sonar or deploy a sonobuoy. 2. The program soon became politically controversial as its relatively small production run had resulted in an extremely high unit cost for this aircraft, largely due to the inherent costs involved in the development of brand new aircraft designs. For its part, ShinMaywa made efforts to commercialize design elements of the aircraft, such as its hydraulics and engine control systems. It successfully exported its roll dampening technology to multiple aircraft companies. 2. Head-on view of a JMSDF US-1 parked on land. The PS-1 had not been in service long before the JMSDF requested development of a search and rescue (SAR) variant. ShinMaywa, being keen to pursue the aircraft's development, embarked upon fulfilling this request. 2. By deleting much of the PS-1's military equipment, room was freed up to provide the aircraft with a greater fuel capacity, workable landing gear, and rescue equipment. The new variant, which was designated the US-10, could also quickly be converted for troop carrying duties. The US-10 was Japan's first amphibian, being capable of being used upon both the land and sea, which meant that it could transfer survivors to land facilities via ambulance more quickly. 2. First flown on October 15, 1974, it was accepted into service during the following year, and eventually 19 aircraft were purchased. From the 7th aircraft on, an uprated version of the original engine was used. All aircraft were eventually modified to this US-1A standard. During the 1990s, by which point the US-1A fleet was beginning to show its age, the JMSDF attempted to tin funding towards acquiring a replacement, but could not secure enough to develop an entirely new aircraft. Therefore, during 1995, ShinMaywa, as ShinMaywa had been renamed, reportedly so that the name would be easier to pronounce for non-Japanese speakers, 2. Set about planning to produce an upgraded version of the US-1A, initially referred to as the US-1A Kai, US-1A, improved US-1A. This aircraft features numerous aerodynamic refinements and modernized systems, along with a pressurized hull, and the adoption of more powerful Rolls-Royce A2100 engines. 2. Flight tests of the new variant began on the 18th of December, 2003. The JMSDF has chosen to purchase up to 14 of these aircraft, which hastened its service as the ShinMaywa US2. Products. Aircraft. ShinMaywa D.H.114 TAV, license built de Havilland Heron. ShinMaywa PS1 flying boat. ShinMaywa US-1A amphibian. ShinMaywa US-2 amphibian. Modifications. Tokushima plant. Examples: Gates Learjet U-21, originally known as U-36A1. High-speed training support /utility transport aircraft. JMSDF, 4 modified. Gates Learjet U-36, combat support /training aircraft. JASDF, 6 modified. Special purpose trucks /equipment. Mining dump trucks. Tankers. Concrete mixers. Arm-roll detachable container system. Multiloader, skip trucks. Bulk Z, pneumatic bulk transporters. Car carriers. Components. The company is one of 5 major Japanese companies contracted to build parts for Boeing's 777's aircraft. 5. Specifically the fairings that connect the wings to the fuselage. 6. ShinMaywa also produce wing spars for the Boeing 787. 6. Unbuilt concept aircraft. In 1977, ShinMaywa revealed several ideas that it had on the drawing board for still flying boats. However, none of these were ever built. They were the ShinMaywa LA, light amphibian, a 40-passenger light amphibian for inter-island feeder service. The 400-passenger ShinMaywa Ma, medium amphibian. The ShinMaywa MS, medium seaplane, a 300-passenger long-range flying boat with its own hatching gear, and the gargantuan ShinMaywa GS, giant seaplane, that has a passenger capacity of an astonishing 1,200 passengers seated on 3 decks. Unlike the ShinMaywa LA and EMA, which were like the US-1 in design, the ShinMaywa MS and GS had its engines located in front of and above the wing like the USAF Boeing YC-14 to give still effect. In the end, none of the 4 designs got beyond the drawing boards. 7. Also during the late 1970s, ShinMaywa were working on a successor for the PS-1 ASW seaplane. However, the program, along with further orders for the PS-1, was cancelled in September 1980. This was because land-based aircraft, i.e. P-3C, seemed to have alleviated the need for more seaplanes for anti-submarine warfare. There were at least 2 unfulfilled spin-offs of the PS-1 at one stage underway. These, landplane, design Syria design #487 and design #487C, part of a joint program of the 1970s with Grumman. Design #487 was aimed at a U.S. military steel transport requirement, while Design #487C was a 90-seat commercial STOL airliner version aimed in particular at American Airlines. References. Citations. Company profile.
Gut.